no normal pleasures of childhood. Those were exchanged for hard work, struggle, and pain.
Here's what most people never get about Michael Jackson. His moves weren't accidents or gifts from the sky. He built them. He studied the legends, pushed his body past its limits, and shaped every step until it felt like something only he could do. The glide, the spin, the sharp hits, all of it came from years of obsession and purpose. When you see how he put it all together, you'll understand why his style became untouchable. The Jackson 5 Foundation. Michael's foundation didn't start on stage. It started in tiny rehearsal rooms where the Jackson 5 were pushed to move like a machine.
Today, the Jackson 5 is fondly remembered for their bubblegum pop tunes.
Joe Jackson wasn't gentle, and Michael learned early that perfection wasn't optional. Motown choreographers like Charlie Atkins drilled timing, posture, and discipline into him before he even hit puberty. At the same time, he was quietly studying James Brown, Jackie Wilson, and Sammy Davis Jr.
I also want to thank all those who have helped me to channel my talent here on Earth.
Copying their footwork in mirrors until he could do it cleaner than they did. You can see it in early Jackson 5 footage. This little kid hitting grown man steps with crazy accuracy. That mix of pressure, talent, and early training built the base for everything he became later. It's where the obsession started, and once that switch flipped in him, there was no going back. Learning from legends. As Michael got older, he didn't stop studying, he just upgraded his teachers. Fred Astaire became his guide for smooth transitions. The way a body could glide without looking like it was trying. Bob Fosse showed him how sharp angles and clean lines could tell a story before a single lyric was sung. And then there were the street dancers in Los Angeles. Guys like the Electric Boogaloos and Poppin' Taco who showed him popping, locking, and the early versions of the move that would later evolve into the moonwalk.
Thanks for showing me how to dance, how to be, how to believe in myself,
Michael watched everything, from soul-trained dancers to Broadway performers, and absorbed it like oxygen. He wasn't copying, he was learning in every direction. And the crazy part is how naturally he blended all these worlds together. That mixture of elegance, street style, and raw rhythm became the signature people still try to mimic today, and fail. Off-the-wall era innovation. By the time Michael hit the off-the-wall era, he wasn't just learning anymore, he was shaping a completely new style.
Not thinking. Thinking is the biggest mistake a dancer could make. You have to feel.
This is the period where he really started playing with robotic movement and isolation. Long before people associated the robot with him, he took the idea of moving like a machine and mixed it with disco's bounce, giving it a smoother, more musical feel. His spins got razor sharp during these years too.
You don't want to just stare at him, you just want to be professional as possible, but in your mind, you're like, oh my God, it's Michael Jackson.
The kind of spins where he could stop on a single beat without wobbling. The choreography for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough came from his own ideas, with Michael Peters helping refine it, and you can see the confidence in every frame. Off the Wall gets overshadowed by Thriller, but this is where he found the perfect blend of funk, precision, and personality. This is where the Michael Jackson style was born. Thriller era perfection. When Michael stepped into the Thriller era, the vibe changed completely. He wasn't focused on robotic movement anymore. He shifted to clean theatrical storytelling through dance.
See, the thing is, artists seem to get in the way of the music. Get out of the way of the music.
Working with Michael Peters, he built routines for Thriller and Beat It that became cultural landmarks. The Thriller choreography wasn't about tricks. It was about discipline, timing, and character.
It's close to midnight.
Every step designed to look like a monster coming alive. And in Beat It, he mixed street-style aggression with sharp musicality,
Beat it. Just beat it.
creating movements that felt raw but controlled. What made this era intense was the pressure he put on himself. He was rehearsing up to 8 hours a day, breaking down every count until it felt effortless on camera. Thriller wasn't just a music video era, it was Michael entering his peak as a perfectionist, where the level he demanded from himself was almost impossible for anyone else to reach. Signature move origins. This is where Michael stopped following influences and started making history.
Dancing at Radio City Music Hall, because the very first time I ever danced with Michael Jackson was in the 1995 MTV Music Awards.
The moonwalk came from street dancers like Jeffrey Daniel and the Electric Boogaloos, but Michael slowed it down, cleaned the edges, and added that floating illusion nobody else could pull off. The anti-gravity lean was straight-up engineering genius, a patented shoe mechanism combined with a ballet-inspired tilt that shouldn't even be humanly possible. His toe stand came from studying ballet's releve technique, and he trained his calves until they could hold positions most dancers wouldn't dare try. And then there's the crotch grab, which started as an instinctive hit during rehearsal and turned into a bold, rebellious stamp that drove the media crazy. Every signature move had a real origin, a real technique behind it, and Michael took each one and transformed it into something unforgettable. The secret sauce. The real reason Michael's moves hit so hard wasn't just technique, it was the way he controlled time. He used tiny pauses between movements to build tension, letting the audience feel the moment before he exploded into the next beat. His upper body isolation came from years of mixing Fosse's precision with street-style popping, and it gave him that smooth but sharp look no one can replicate.
When we would learn all the numbers, he would sit us down and it would be in a rehearsal hall, like a dance studio, and he would make us perform the entire show one at a time.
Michael rehearsed until everything looked spontaneous, even when it was drilled into his bones 100 times. He didn't just dance to music, he made his body talk. That's why even the smallest gesture from him felt intentional, powerful, and impossible to copy. The pain behind the precision. Behind all the clean lines and flawless choreography was a body that took a beating. Michael lived with constant pain, especially after the Pepsi accident that left him with burns and long-term damage. But his perfectionism didn't let him slow down. He rehearsed through aches, injuries, and nights where his body was begging for a break. His standard for himself was brutal. He wanted moves to look superhuman, even if it meant pushing past what was healthy. That's the part people forget. The polish you saw on stage came from a man who was fighting his body behind the scenes, refusing to let anything stop him. Greatness cost him more than anyone ever saw. Why no one can replicate him? The reason nobody today can match Michael isn't because they lack talent. It's because they don't have his mix of elegance, street style, theater, rhythm, and raw emotion. Most dancers specialize in one lane. Michael mastered all of them and glued them together like it was natural. His timing was freakishly accurate. He could land on a beat like his body was wired into the music. And he didn't just perform choreography, he told stories with his movements. Every step had character, attitude, and emotion behind it. Artists today can mimic the moves, but they can't mimic the soul. Michael's style wasn't choreography, it was personality. And that's something you can't copy, no matter how many times you rehearse. When you look at all of it together, you start to understand why Michael's moves became legend. He wasn't a random genius who got lucky. He was a student, an inventor, a perfectionist, and a stubborn fighter who shaped his body into something the world had never seen before. Every spin, every glide, every sharp hit came from years of discipline and a kind of focus most people couldn't survive. That's why no one today can truly match him. They can copy the steps, but they can't copy the life behind them. Michael didn't just create iconic moves, he created a language, and only he could speak it the way it was meant to be spoken.